almost every matchup you can go for level 2 until you start playing against smarter people. Let's see what he opts to do. So he attacked the first minion of the wave multiple times, or else like what happened naturally there would be all three of the front minions would die at the same time, and then you'd be forced to use your red card to CS all of them, or you'd be forced to like only get one of them, right? So what he's doing here is prepping the wave in a way that he wouldn't have to use his ability to get the CS. That's why I attacked one of them multiple times. So you see, now he was able to use auto attacks on all three, and he wasn't forced to use his card on the front wave just for the last hits. He gets full. So it looks like he is actually fighting to hit level 2. So you got full damage on the back wave as opposed to just using it for last hit on the front wave. So this is the second wave of the game. The first minion, all you need is one minion on the second wave for you to hit level 2, right? Neva, thanks for following, man. All you need is the first minion of the second wave to hit level 2. However, you always have to be aware of if they're gonna hit level 2 at the same time as you, it's not really an advantage. Like not only you trying to hit level 2, but you have to keep in mind like are they also trying to push the wave very hard to hit level 2? Because then you have to think about, do you win level 2 versus level 2, right? Now here it looks like BDD has that advantage. Like his minion is lower HP if he actually attacks it. Okay. Alright, never mind. They're going to go for the... He's going to go for... Okay, we're both hitting level 2. We're just going to keep the wave even. And that's sometimes going to happen. Like, if you go for level 2 and they also go for level 2, there's going to be times where the lane's going to end up more even. And you won't be able to go for that advantage. But that's also one of those things that, like... Most people aren't thinking about this while they're playing the game until you're at higher level. So, if you're going for level 2, it's very likely that your opponent's, like, not even thinking about level 2. And so you just hit level 2 before them and you beat their ass. Like, it happens all the time. Alright, so let me talk about what just happened there. Hey, Bjorn. So, let me go back even farther. So, right here. BDD just killed a minion, right? All these other minions are full HP, which means that BDD doesn't have to focus on last hitting currently, which means he can use his focus elsewhere. He could go ward, he could press tab, he can left click his opponent and read his stats. You know, this is the time where he has some time to think. But the most likely thing to do here is usually to try to hit your opponent, right? Because if you're not focusing on the minion, it's very obviously that you can focus on your opponent, right? In this scenario, not only does he have what I call free time, but his opponent doesn't have free time. The Corki, this minion is low. This minion looks like it's gonna die. And if Corki goes up to actually last hit these minions, and BDD doesn't have to worry about last hitting minions for himself, that means that's an opening for BDD to hit Corki for getting the CS. Now they're playing at a higher level where Captain Fly might walk up as if he's gonna last hit the minion, but instead give up the minion so he can actually trade the damage of BDD. He could tank the damage from BDD and get the last hit on the minion. He could obviously just get zoned from the minion entirely, so he doesn't get the. So there's no trade, but he also doesn't get the minion. And you probably can just press Q, but then obviously you're sacrificing X amount of mana to get the CS. So let's talk about that. Let's see what he chooses. So do you see how BDD, because he doesn't have to worry about these minions, he immediately runs towards Corki as he walks up to try to get the last hit on the minion. See, they're doing like advanced stuff right now because they're trying to trick each other. Like BDD is sometimes pretending like he's not gonna walk up, and the Captain Fly is pretending like he's gonna go up. Like Captain Fly is walking up before he really has to. They try to bait out something from BDD. And then go back to get the CS. So, for example, imagine instead of Twisted Fate, he was playing Orianna. Captain Fly might walk up as if he's going to last hit the minion to bait out the Orianna Q, and then walk backwards, and then walk back. Once the Q is already done, he'd go last hit the minion. So they're doing like a lot of like mind games, but that's because they both understand the concept that I'm telling you. Again, This is because they're both at high level. For you guys, most if not all of you guys, this thought process isn't going through your opponent's head. So it's a lot easier to just do whatever you want because they're not looking like they're looking at I'm gonna push the wave, and that's pretty much it. They're gonna push the wave, and maybe when all their abilities are, they're gonna trade you. Like they're not thinking very like in depth about the dance. Like this is actually a dance happening between these two champions, and that's because they understand the concepts of the game. All right, so let's see how that dance ends. So it got to a point where after all the baiting, he eventually was able to just use Q to get both the minions, and TF. This minion actually started to get to a point where TF actually had to start focusing on it, and that's why you saw TF's positioning change from being aggressive, wanting to hit Corki whenever he walked up for a minion, to backing up and last hitting here, so that when he goes for the minion, he doesn't get punished. Whereas if only one of these people if only the Corki was playing smart, or only the TF was playing smart, like Corki would have walked up to go last hit this minion, he would have got gold carded queued, and then he would have walked out to the next minion. He would have got he probably wouldn't have W up again, but he would have got auto attacked at the same time he auto attacked the minion, or vice versa. If Corki was the one playing smart, the TF would have stayed here, and whenever he went for this minion, Corki could have queued him and autoed him on his way out of the minions, right? But it's because both of them are playing correctly that there's a dance going on. And again, that dance will not happen with you guys. If you understand how to do this concept and your opponent doesn't, it is super easy. It's the same thing with what you guys see me do in jungle. Like, I understand the concept of why I'm doing what I'm doing and what my opponent's most likely to do. And because they're not doing like any like crazy stuff like counter me, they're not like you guys see like when I did my coaching session. Where's Rift Kit? Where is it? That close it? Oh, it's on this window, I think. So you guys saw me yesterday when I talked about the coaching session, like where I said, oh well, the enemy, let's say Lee Sin, you're Amumu, like it's very likely that he's gonna do this and like maybe invade. And almost every Amumu is gonna do this, but the first like level 1 of the dance is that maybe the Amumu will start top and end up on the bottom, so he doesn't not in the same way of the Lee Sin. But then the Lee Sin might do this, and then the way the Amumu has to counter this is maybe doing 1, 2, 3, and then backing and going for wolves and doing a play. And then to counter what he thinks this is gonna happen, maybe he just starts at blue and he does this and he like tries to end up on the same side. Like there's a dance that goes on. It's just I never have to dance with anybody at lower elo. Like you only have to do this like crazy like, dancing, and it's like a lot of fun. It's like a lot of mind games. I really enjoy it. It's just you don't actually run into that scenario until you're playing against other people that understand the same concepts as you do. The game's super fun when you get to this like that level of like you're doing things on purpose, your opponent's doing things on purpose, and like you're both following the meta of what's correct. Like jungle pathing, like certain jungle pathing becomes like correct sometimes, and then you have to adjust to those jungle pathing. Like I don't want to go too much into it, but the point is that there are mind games in the game that I would say it's probably like 95% of people that play the game aren't even doing at all. And I'm talking about like the basic of mind. This is the basic of mind games that almost no one's doing. It's so rare to understand why you're doing something, which is mind-boggling, but also not at the same time. It has to do with the fact that in real life, when you're learning how to play basketball, for example, there's an infrastructure around you trying to get good at basketball, and you're gonna learn about. There's a book, right? Like this is what you learn when you're trying to learn basketball. You have an intramural league, you have a team, you have maybe something during the summer. With League of Legends, it's like, well, you have solo queue, and if you put in additional effort, you can watch reviews, or you can watch coach, or you can pay for a coach or something, right? But none of that's required, and none of it's like the right thing to do to like the general public. Not like how basketball is like. Obviously, you want to play basketball, you want to join a basketball team, right? Or you probably want to watch basketball games. It's not the same with esports, so that's why so many people can get to like a higher level and play the game for so long without understanding like what I think are like the most basic concept in the game. Neva, what's up, man? I'm glad you appreciate it or enjoying yourself. All right, so. Let's look more at what they end up doing in the lane. It doesn't need to be 1080. So, concept, this minion's not going to die for a little bit. This minion's probably going to die immediately. TF walks out. He actually canceled his auto attack. He wasn't able to lock his card in. But you see, he tried to do exactly what I just told you. Punish the Corki for having the last hit this minion, because he had time to punish him while before he had actually last hit. But in this case, he wasn't quite fast enough with locking in his card. Okay, so let's talk about what they're really. So we talked about a little bit like of general what you want to do immediately. Now we talked about like what they're doing during the waves. We talked about like trying to make sure none of the minions die at the same time, so you attack one early so that it becomes lower before the other ones. We talked about the free time that you have whenever you have no minions that are going to die very soon, but they do, and that's your time to trade. So let's talk about like the more like macro sense of like what are they thinking about right now that they need to be doing. So what that is their bat timing. So Twisted Fate needs to be thinking about his bat timing here. And I'm going to open up Twisted Fate on my other monitor. Yeah, John, I'm going to mention that too. I've been actually paying attention to the jungle. What they've been doing is actually pretty interesting. What the junglers were doing in this game. Oh, this is actually the top laner. Okay, I was just looking. I was like, what the hell is going on over here? Okay, anyway. Okay. But most of the jungle stuff I've talked about in the jungle perspective. It might help you guys to see what I mean from a laning perspective. Okay, so a very common first back timing for Twisted Fate is going to be aiming for like a catalyst, right? So that's 1100 gold. For these guys at their level, they're aiming for 1100 gold on like the 7th wave, I think. On the 5th wave, you can have 900. That's if you have very good CSing. I think for 1100, you're probably going for like a 7-wave back. So on the 7th wave that appears, he's going to try to push the lane very, very hard so that he can go spin his gold. They're currently last hitting the 3rd wave. I can just tell because cannon minions come on every 3rd wave, and I'm looking at their CS, and there's no way it's a 6th wave and this is at 15 CS. So this is the 3rd wave. So his bat time is not for a long time, which means you don't want to, for example, like RE players, they come up and they like throw all their Qs and stuff like that very, very quickly, and they go but they really want to be on the map with it. They have 900 gold so they can afford their lost chapter, so they're hurting themselves. Like you have to think about your back timing is just as important as everything else, if not more important. Now, there's definitely times where you're not going to wait for 5 waves or 7 waves. For example, Rai starts tier, or he starts Mana Crystal, and on this wave, the 3rd wave is the wave that he tries to destroy very quickly and back so that he can get his tier at the 3rd wave. Like, there's different bat timings for different champions, and depending on what item you start, right? It all depends on how much gold you need and how good you are at CSing. And yeah, besides the bat timing, surviving the gank is also a very important part of it. What I imagine what's going on here is, again, this is kind of like a higher elo kind of thing, and this is definitely true with players that played at high elo like a long time ago before people had trinket wards. Is that a lot of people don't ward like at higher elo? You don't really ward if you don't feel threatened. Like if he feels like if Maokai comes, he can just ghost away and just be fine. There's no reason for him to ward. That's like that's what he's thinking, and that's the way you had to kind of play the game before when you had to buy wards. That's not true for most of you guys though. You should probably ward around this time. But that's why there's a different dynamic of the game whenever you're at the higher level. Now he's very high on mana, which is why he's allowed to use Q here. And he's using blue card very often, right? So he's completely fine with using Q and applying pressure to the Corki. Which is good, because again, if he thinks if he doesn't feel threatened by the Maokai gank, and he has pressure on the lane, and Maokai comes, that's good. If he survives the gank, knowing that he was going to survive the gank, and he pulls Maokai to him. So now his team knows Maokai's middle. This is which way he ran after he tried to gank me. I survived. He just got a lot of information for his team, right? So it's actually a good thing for you to get ganked if you know you can survive the gank. It could be very valuable to your team. So he's confused about where the enemy jungler is, because obviously, as we see on the map, the Maokai is not where he warded. He probably thought the Maokai would have bathed by now. So, exactly as I said, just happened perfectly. The gank came, he's like, guess what, I have ghosts, son. I'm fine. Gold carded his ass and just walked away, you know? That's exactly what I said. So now they know, oh, Maokai's on the top side, he's not bottom. Oh, this is where he's going. Oh, this is how much health he has. This is what buffs he has. This is how much CS he has. Now we know everything about Maokai, right? So even though he has to pop ghost there, he was able to apply pressure onto the Corki. Corki did pretty good in CSing in this scenario, but again, if one of these players were good and the other one wasn't, Corki would have had a hard time CSing on the tower, right? And so the CS lead would be bigger, but like I said, both these players are really good, so it's not going to be that simple. But this is exactly what I said happened, where he ended up getting gains, but it was fine. It actually just gave him the information. He has to pop his ghost, but that's not a huge deal. That's kind of like, that's why you have ghosts, you know? You don't have to have ghosts just so you can do it aggressively. You can have ghosts so that you can play the lane in this way and survive, you know? That's a perfectly good reason to have ghosts. We'll go over this replay for like maybe 10 more minutes, and then we'll move on to something else. I don't want to go over, like, if I go over a whole replay, it will take forever, because I'm not specifically breaking down any part of the game right now. I guess I could just wait until laning phase is over. Currently, I'm going over like more specific laning phase concepts, obviously. Now, keep in mind his positioning. He's staying stuck on the bot side of the map because he already had these wards down here, right? Which means if Maokai ran down here, he would have known. So now he knows that Maokai didn't run to the bottom side, which means he's most likely on the top side. So he wants to be on the bottom side, so if Maokai comes up from over here, he could just run down again. And obviously, as long as the board doesn't expire like really, really soon, if Maokai came from this direction, he'd have vision and he'd change his positioning to the top side. You see how he's positioning the very far direction of where Maokai would come. Okay. This is looking pretty close to where his bat time would be. I need to see whether the next wave is a cannon wave or not. Set up his CS. He has his passive. Oh, he didn't actually have to do that, but that's fine. He had his passive to get the last hit on the minion. That was a little bit more than his normal auto attack. So what he's trying to do here, I believe, is push really hard so he can get his bat timing that we were talking about. That's why he would throw his Q and use his mana like this right now, even though he's really low on mana, because he intends on backing to get his bat time, get his item. So let's see if he bats immediately here. Oh, did he decide to stay? Maybe he needed another. Wow, he locked in a gold card. Alright, so I think he actually just made a mistake. But I could be wrong. Maybe he has enough mana to use Q and W. I can't tell. That was weird. He had an opportunity to bat there. I can't tell how much gold he had. Like, if I was the spectator, I'd change his gold amount. Yeah, so maybe he thought he had to wait for another wave. See, the two waves after the one I said he could have backed on. These ones he really didn't have an option, because if he bats, he like automatically gives up 6 CS. So at this point he's like kind of forced to stay in lane, because you have to be able to clear a wave immediately, which is what he did earlier. That's what it looked like he was setting up for, but he didn't actually back. So I'm a little confused. Now, obviously, if your opponent's not backing and you're not backing, it's kind of even, but it's not usually what you want to do. Let's see if he goes for it on this wave. Maybe he's trying to go for Catalyst and Boots. Maybe I'm underestimating what he wants his bat timing to be. But normally you want to have your bat timing before you hit level 6. That's like very common. Because if he right now goes in odds bottom, imagine if he had bat. I mean, I guess Catalyst doesn't actually increase your damage, so that's definitely worth mentioning. But he could be stronger right now, in terms of health at least, health and mana. Maybe if you bought Boots, you could also do like Dorn Dream Boots, stuff like that. That's usually why you want to back, because when you go for this ult, you could have had a lot more items right now. You would have had mana for Q there, you know. Now, again, I can't read his mind, so I'm not exactly sure why he didn't back at the time where it looks very obvious to me that he was going to back. Like I said, what I'm imagining is he kind of got greedy for, he wanted to complete his Boots and his Catalyst. And then, because he got greedy for one additional wave, he kind of got stuck being in the way for a while. That's my assumption. Oh, frames dropped. Probably because that's too many of these windows open. I need to buy a new RAM. I actually plan on buying a new RAM like probably after the stream, and then my stream will be fine. It's definitely a RAM problem. It's not like a graphics problem or internet problem. So at this point, he has a shit ton of gold. And the reason why he walks all the way back is because Corky knows that he needs to back because he knows he hasn't spent his gold yet. So it would be very advantageous for Corky to hit one bomb on him, force him to standard tower again, or force him to go down 6 CS. That's why he has to run all the way back. But again, that's like one of those mind game things that I was talking about before. I love how Corky's using this as an opportunity of, he notices that TF has to bag, and so he uses this as an opportunity to actually take the enemy Raptors. That's very, very good from Corky. Not something you would see very often with like any mid laner. You'd have to be a really smart mid laner to understand that that was a good opportunity to take the Raptors there. Knowing that Corky's backing there. So there's no rush to kill the wave, because you know he's not pushing the wave. So, pretty impressive from Corky. You can just tell he's good just by all the different dances he's done so far in this game, and specifically the play I just mentioned. I'm gonna do like maybe one more point with this VOD, and then we'll move on to something new. Oh wow, he did a very different bat timing than I was mentioning, huh? That's not the most common bat timing. That's fine though. Obviously, there's different items. So he's going for this like CDR build. Like he has 20% CDR. And he's trying. I guess because he has both Bard, and he has Ashe, who are very good champions at making like gank plays around the map. He just wants to have his ultimate as often as possible to kind of abuse that effect. That's my guess. I see why he would do this build over a more Battlecaster build. Now this build is also very more like, what's the word? Like squishy, I guess. Obviously, having a Rod of Ages makes you significantly more tanky than not having a Rod of Ages. But the enemy team only really has one true form of burst, and that's in Twitch. In Twitch, BDD would have the opportunity to just gold card him, right? So, and his team has a lot of CC, so I can understand why you wouldn't feel the need to build more defensively against a non like real burst threat opponent. This is Korea, right? Yeah, this is Korea. And this is definitely a snowball build. This is the most gold cards and ultimates you can possibly have with your split pushing jacks, your roaming bard, and your Ash 80 carry. It's definitely a snowball the game kind of build. He's sitting at 20% CDR right here in upgraded boots.